gonna stop singing your praise, singing your praise. I can't stop, won't stop, never gonna stop singing your praise, singing your praise. I can't stop, won't stop, never gonna stop singing your praise.
I'm Erica, and all month long we've been talking about commitment. Commitment is making a plan and putting it into practice. So I've been training for a 5K race, and guess what? It's only a week away. So I'm a little nervous about it. You see, I haven't told anybody this. This'll be my first 5K ever. My friends convinced me that I would enjoy running a 5K. They've been running for years, so I figure they know what they're talking about. We're actually meeting up tomorrow to have a kind of pre-race get-together. I have so many questions to ask them. How long does it take to run a 5K? Will my legs hurt when the race is over? What exactly are we running from? So that should be fun. Or, what if they get tired of all my questions? What if they ask me questions? Will they expect me to know as much as they do? I need to practice what I'll say. So, Erica, what's your favorite part about running? The running part? How many marathons have you run this year? This year? None. If you were running on a track headed west at 12 miles per hour and a train 127 miles away was traveling from the opposite direction at 84 miles per hour, at what part of the track would you and the train meet? I don't know. You don't know? Oh boy, I am not looking forward to this at all. Maybe it'll be easier if I just stand against the wall somewhere and don't say anything. Hopefully today's story will help. It's about saying what's on your mind, even when you don't have all the answers. See you soon.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story. Inspired by the book of Matthew, chapter 16, verses 13 through 20.
Jesus and his 12 closest friends walked along the dusty road from Galilee to the town of Caesarea Philippi. Perhaps Peter walked with James and John.
Philippi? Seems out of the way.
Maybe that's the point.
Little peace and quiet?
Jesus can't take 2 steps in Galilee without 1,000 people showing up.
Yeah, they say he's... Well, I've heard everything.
Peter stared at the high hills ahead, one of which was home to a deep cavern said to be the birthplace of a Greek god. Philippi was filled with monuments and temples to other fake gods.
Peter?
What? Oh.
Peter looked around. Jesus and his other friends had stopped under a shady tree. Peter, James, and John stepped off the road to join them.
Water break.
As his disciples rested, Jesus turned and faced them. Perhaps he knew that here, near Philippi, where so many people believed in false gods, it was important that his disciples knew and spoke the truth.
Who do people say the Son of Man is?
Jesus' friends understood that when he said Son of Man, he meant himself.
Some people say that you're John the Baptist.
What people? Hello? John the Baptist was Jesus' cousin.
Well, that's what they say. Just saying.
Well, some people say you're Elijah or Jeremiah.
Yeah, or one of the prophets.
People had been comparing Jesus to many important figures in Jewish history. Men who called the nation to repent, men who did miracles, men who spoke the word of God. But Jesus was so much more than that.
What about you? Who do you say that I am?
As Jesus looked squarely at his disciples, they fidgeted. They had seen Jesus feed thousands of people from one boy's lunch. They'd seen him heal countless sick people. They'd seen him command evil spirits to leave. They knew Jesus was special. But it's one thing to think something, and another to say it. Peter, as usual, was the one to take the leap.
You are the Messiah. You are the Son of the living God.
Jesus smiled.
Blessed are you, Simon. No mere human showed this to you. My Father in heaven showed it to you. Here's what I tell you. You are Peter.
Jesus was giving Simon a new identity. Peter means stone, something strong, sturdy. Jesus continued.
On this rock I will build my church. The gates of hell will not be strong enough to destroy it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. What you lock on earth will be locked in heaven. What you unlock on earth will be unlocked in heaven.
The disciples were amazed.
Teacher's pet.
Hey, we were all thinking it. And I don't know, the whole locking and unlocking thing sounds like a really big responsibility.
Jesus knew there were things that would take his friends a while to understand. So he told them.
Do not tell anyone yet that I am the Messiah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Peter had the courage to speak what he knew to be true. And when the time was right, he would share it with everyone he met.
So Peter and the other disciples had a lot of questions. People had been wondering for months, years even, who Jesus really was. But it was important for the disciples not to just wonder about, but to talk about it. So Jesus asked, "Who do you say that I am?" Even though they all had thoughts about who Jesus was, Peter was the only one who had the courage to say what he was thinking out loud. Sometimes it can be scary to talk about what you believe about God with other people. What if you have questions? What if people ask you questions? What if there's something you don't know? Well, I've got some good news for you. No one you talk to has all the answers. A lot of people even have the same questions you do. That's why it's important to practice talking about God. Sometimes it helps to say something out loud to really know what you believe. And sometimes you can learn something new from someone else. So, don't be afraid to get a conversation started. You got a few minutes? I have some questions. Me too! I'm glad I'm not the only one. So, when you're excited about something God has done for you in your life, share it with someone out loud. And when you aren't sure about something, ask your small group leader or someone you know who follows Jesus for wisdom. Together, we can help each other understand what God has done in the past and what he's doing in our lives right now. Here's the one thing to remember today. Practice talking about God. If you have questions, ask. And if you don't know something, say so. And if you think you know an answer, have the courage to say what you're thinking out loud. So, what do you want to talk about? What I always want to talk about. Stuff. Oh, I get it. Because you're a stuffed animal? Yeah, get it? Because I'm made out of stuff!
Okay, I'll go back in my corner.
Yeah. Bye!
I want to be rich. I want to be cool.
I want to be pretty.
I want to be successful.
I want to be cool. I want to be powerful.
I want to be rich.
I want to be popular.
I want to be clever.
I want to be successful.
I want to be
pure.
I want to be heartbroken.
I want to be merciful.
I want to be humble.
I want to be hungry.
I want to be gentle. I want to be a peacemaker.
I want to be persecuted.
Just be.
Here's something that I think most of us can relate to. Do you have that one friend or family member who's one of your favorite people on the planet, but for whatever reason you rarely get to see them in person? For me, it's my cousins. I love my cousins to death, but I hardly ever see them because they literally live all over the country. And isn't it true that being far away makes any relationship more challenging? If you've ever had a long distance dating relationship, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because my cousins and I can't physically be in the same place, we have different things we do to try and stay connected. Keep up with each other's Insta stories, send each other DMs or comment back and forth on pics, text or call, you get the idea. Even though we can't see each other in person, it doesn't mean that the relationship goes away. It does, however, mean that we have to be more intentional about taking time to connect, because it won't just happen by accident. We won't run into each other in the hallway at school or in line at McDonald's. We have to make a habit of connecting so the relationship doesn't suffer. For the past couple weeks, we've been talking about this same idea when it comes to God. When we make certain things a habit, it makes it easier to connect with Him. And as a result, it helps us to get to know Him better. One of the habits we can practice to know God better is talking about Him to others. When we talk about Him and what He means to our everyday lives, it makes it easier to connect with Him. And you may be thinking, how in the world do I get to know God better just by talking about Him? That sounds a little too easy. And if that were the case, why don't more people do it? I think when it comes down to it, the idea of talking about God, our faith and our relationship with God, makes all of us at least a little bit nervous. We immediately have questions like, what if we don't know what to say? When we have a conversation with somebody, especially someone who isn't familiar with what it means to follow God, and the subject of faith comes up, it's hard to know what to say, isn't it? And how do we make it seem like a natural part of conversation and not totally awkward? Or what if we sound stupid? What if someone asks us about what we believe about a controversial subject? And what if we fumble our way through our explanation of our viewpoint, which has happened to me more than once? Bottom line, nobody wants to make an idiot of themselves. But what if we don't know enough about what we believe? For some of us, we realize that our beliefs are prone to change. If that's the case, how can we be secure enough to talk about them right now? For some of us, we may not even be sure what we believe. In fact, some of you may be thinking, you think we should talk about our faith? I'm not even sure if I have any. If that's you, don't sweat it. We get it. You're still in the right place today. Or what if we offend someone? It's no secret that faith can be a heated subject. Any search on a controversial religious topic reveals just how angry people can get. What if someone disagrees with us? What if we disagree with them? The idea of admitting that we're Jesus followers can cause some fear and insecurity because we don't want to find ourselves in heated, angry arguments. And that's just the beginning. Chances are you probably have questions I haven't even thought of. The thing is, the ideas we rehearse in our heads have the power to create our reality. Meaning we can spend so much time being afraid of offending someone that when the time comes, we still end up saying something offensive. When it comes to talking about God, the last thing we want to do is prepare for failure. So let's talk about it. There was a guy named Peter who's one of Jesus' followers and closest friends. He wrote a couple of letters to some of the earliest Jesus followers in different parts of the Roman Empire. See, while it's tempting for us to believe that talking about God is only tricky for us here in modern times, the truth is these ancient Christians experienced it firsthand. After all, Jesus changed the way everybody saw God. So this was all new information for all of them. They lived in the Roman Empire, which was the same empire that crucified Jesus and destroyed the Jewish temple. Saying the wrong thing around these people could have serious implications. So this idea of talking about God wasn't an easy idea for them to accept. Despite that, Peter addressed the topic. Here's what he said. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. The words always be prepared are important to note because Peter tended to be the kind of guy who flew by the seat of his pants, acting impulsively at times. But when it came to conversations about really big stuff, it mattered to be prepared. So that's what he told the people he wrote to. Be prepared. Don't miss the opportunity. Fair enough, but how do we get ready? Well, the same way we get ready for a big game, an elaborate TikTok overdub, or a big speech. We practice. Peter is challenging us to practice talking about God. He wants us to make a habit of it. Let's say you have a friend, classmate, teammate, or a bandmate who asks you the reason why you believe what you believe. Peter is basically saying, be ready to talk in that moment. Now, before you break into sweats, let's clear some things up. When Peter says, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone, he's not saying you have to become a preacher, understand 100% of the Bible, or be able to explain difficult topics. None of those are the point of what Peter's saying. Instead, he tells us what we should be prepared to give an answer about, for the hope that you have. Peter is referring to what he did in situations where people questioned his reason for following Jesus. He shared his story and his understanding of Jesus. He didn't ask people to become experts, preachers, or speakers. He told them what he's telling you and I. Just be you. Share the hope that you have. Share your experience with God. And hopefully that helps you to relax. Because honestly, you and I have had a lot of practice talking to other people about our experiences. You'll tell anyone who will listen why McDonald's is better than Wendy's. You'll share your love for Netflix series or video games or apps that you love. You'll give 5 reasons why dogs are better than cats to any random person on the street. In other words, we already know how to talk about things that we love and experiences that we have. But there's something about talking about God that makes it different. What if it was just supposed to be, well, you being yourself? When you share about your experiences with God, it gives others hope. It lets them know that God is real to you, that he's working in the life of someone they actually know, that he's not distant, and that he doesn't just show up in the lives of Christians who seem to have it all together. It lets others know that God is for you and for them. So whether you find yourself unsure of what to say, or if you feel like you know exactly what to say about God, remember this: you don't have to know everything to share something. And that something is what you have experienced, felt, enjoyed, or benefited from in your own personal faith. You share your reason for the hope that you have. You never know how that hope will impact people around you who are dealing with their own difficulties in life. Peter concludes this thought by saying this: but do this with gentleness and respect. This isn't just an afterthought, it's important. Because when you think about how conversations usually go when it comes to religion and faith, gentleness and respect aren't the words that tend to describe them. Oftentimes it can feel like the exact opposite. So how do you talk about your faith with gentleness and respect? Well, you don't talk about it just to start an argument, you don't talk about it to shame or judge someone, and you definitely don't talk about it because you're convinced that you're right and everyone who believes differently is stupid. Just share your story in a gentle and respectful way. When you share what's real for you, it makes you more real to others. It makes the conversation more authentic. People can see through rehearsed church talk. They can tell when you're just saying something that your student pastor told you to say, or rattling off a list in an attempt to force someone to believe something. But when you share out of your heart and your own experience with God, you come across as a real person who's had a real encounter with Jesus. Think about the things you love to talk about. Chances are that you talk about those things because you're passionate about them. But also, in the process of talking about them, you become even more passionate about them. Whether it's fashion, your favorite musical artist, video games, fishing, or the person you're dating, you talk about what you care about. You aren't trying to, it's just a natural habit you formed. And in the process of talking about it, you care about it more. You don't have to know everything about it to talk about it or care about it. You just start talking. The same is true in your relationship with God. As you talk about him more, you'll discover that you get to know him better. And that's what I want you to do when it comes to your faith. Just start talking about it. But what does that look like practically? Here are a few steps to get started. First, speak up in small group. Small group is a great opportunity to talk about your faith. As you share, you never know if someone else will be able to relate to what you say. In that way, your sharing will help others grow, and your faith will grow as you vocalize what you believe. And don't forget that having questions and doubts about faith are part of your experience as well. You don't need to only talk about your faith in an everything is perfect kind of way. Sometimes it's good for others to hear that things aren't perfect for you. This gives them permission to share their own struggles. As you search for answers together, I believe you'll learn more about God in a whole new way. Just know this, you don't have to have it all figured out to talk about it. Second, think about your story. Think about why you believe what you believe, or why you don't believe. Think about your personal experience on your faith journey. Write it, type it, or say it out loud. Keep this in mind. Your story doesn't just have to be things that affected you. It can also be things that have affected people around you. If your mom is a single mom and she says, "The only way I survived this is God," that's part of your faith story because she's your mom. The people who are around you are a key part of your story, so feel free to write down the ways God has impacted their lives as well. And third, fill in the blanks. If you don't know where to start, try this simple formula. I was, but God, and now. Think about what was happening in your life before you invited God to be a part of your daily choices. It could sound like, I was tempted to lie about my actions, or I was insecure about my appearance. Then think about what God did for you and fill in the "but God." It could sound like, but God made promises that allowed my true self to be who He designed me to be. And then fill in the "and now" with something like, and now I live with more confidence. You don't have to share your experience like everything worked out perfectly. Just tell your story with all its twists and turns without the pressure of making it all sound happy. So, as you make it a habit to talk about the reason why you believe what you believe, imagine if it not only stretched your faith, but also helped the faith of people around you, whether you're talking to people who believe what you believe or disagree. Talking about God will help you get to know Him better. So as you share, as you hear others share, and as you make a habit of doing both, you're going to find yourself knowing God better. Remember, you don't have to know everything to share something.